we're going to be stacking some classes against each other. We got a new class coming in, so maybe next year we could do this even differently. But this year we're pitting the 23 and the 24 Dynasty rookie classes against each other. We got 4 positions we're going to look at. So we're going to rank each class individually, just the top 5. And we'll be here ranking all night. Plus after 5, sometimes it gets a little murky. Then we're going to come up with a consensus ranking, who we think is the best. We're going to rank the top 5, combining each class. Does that make sense? If not, bear with me. We'll get there. All right, Nate, let's start with one of my favorite positions, the quarterbacks. Give me your 1 through 5 2023 quarterbacks.
All right, so last year's quarterback class, we've had some ups and downs, but we know for sure that number 1 is CJ Stroud. At number 2, I currently have Anthony Richardson. As good as Bryce Young has looked over the past couple of weeks, I'm just going to put Anthony Richardson slightly above Bryce Young. Bryce Young, number 3 for me. And then number 4, I'm going to have Will Levis. If I was to pick a 5th one, I really wouldn't want to pick a 5th one.
All right, I'm going to go through my top 4. I didn't do a 5th one on this one as well. I got CJ Stroud at number 1, Bryce Young at number 2, Anthony Richardson at number 3, and then Will Levis at number 4. Nate, you want to give me your top 5 in 2024?
Yes, this class is looking a bit stronger throughout the top 5.
To say the least.
And there's still plenty of movement to happen within this top 5, that's for sure. Number 1, I'm sticking with where I had my rankings a couple weeks ago. I am still going to have Bo Nix at number 1. I know that's kind of a controversial take because of how well Jaden Daniels has played throughout this season. And like I said before, last time we did this, I am totally fine with someone putting Jaden Daniels at 1. I can look at them as 1A, 1B. I think you'd be extremely happy to have either one right now. At number 2, I do have Jaden Daniels. At number 3, I got Caleb Williams. At number 4, I got Drake May. And I know that there's people in the comments last time that were very upset about how we ranked Drake May. I had him down at 4 last time as well. But for me, I need the Patriots to give May more of an offense around him. He needs more talent around him because as good as I think Drake May is, and I think he is a franchise quarterback and going to be in the NFL for a long time, for him to produce for me for fantasy football, he needs more talent around him because fantasy-wise, he has not produced as much as the other 3 guys ahead of him. And then number 5, haven't had a chance to see him yet, but J.J. McCarthy. Hey, things are getting a little weird maybe in Minnesota. We'll see what happens with Darnold, but I'm still a believer in McCarthy and the talent that's there. Really, they could use him. So,
I do want to say also we're doing this. These rankings is what we know right now, not as prospects. It kind of wouldn't be as fair to rank these guys because we got film on these guys now. So I just want to throw that out there. For me, I'm in agreement with Nate. Bo Nix at number 1 is playing out of his mind. At number 2, Jaden Daniels. Number 3, I have Drake May. Number 4, I have Caleb Williams. And number 5, J.J. McCarthy. All right, Nate, let's find a consensus ranking here. So who would you say are number 1 is? Let's go number 1 versus number 1. Bo Nix or C.J. Stroud?
We have more tape with CJ Stroud, but fantasy-wise, CJ Stroud has not been that great this year. Now, you can say that there's an issue with, Nico Collins being hurt, definitely really affected that offense. But I think I'm going to have to stick with CJ Stroud right now just because we know a bit more about him, and we can project forward a bit longer with CJ Stroud. You never know with these rookie quarterbacks. I want to see them get into their second year and still be able to perform.
Yeah, I agree with that. So number 2, I had Jaden Daniels for the 2024 class. I had Bryce Young for 2023, and you had Anthony Richardson for 2023. Are we going Bo Nix here? Our number 1 for the 2024 class?
Yep.
Okay, I'm okay with that as well. All right, how do we have this more ranked?
Actually, Mike, I might go ahead and spoil it. I think the rest of this top 5 is going to be the 2024 class.
I think you're right. And this isn't anything against Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, or Will Levis. All right. So I think then number 3, I think our consensus would be Jaden Daniels, right?
Yep.
Just keeping track here in case you hear my keys.
I love the little clicking. You got a mechanical keyboard over there?
I don't know. It's Logitech. All right. So we got, and then you and I were split between Caleb Williams and Drake May.
We were. So we got to compromise here, Michael, in some way. And it should be the fact that Caleb Williams has a lot more offensive talent around him and has performed better so far in fantasy football this year.
You could also say Drake Moore has to do more with less.
Well, he's not doing as much as Caleb.
He has
So,
to. I didn't say
Mike, I care about points in my fantasy lineup, not what someone could be doing.
All right, so then we have Caleb Williams at 4. So then number 5 is going to be, well, I think next it would be Drake May if we're going by our rankings here. All right. So the 2024 class looking good so far. Our consensus quarterback rankings: number 1, CJ Stroud; 2, Bo Nix; 3, Jaden Daniels; 4, Caleb Williams; 5, Drake May. Nate, let's move on to running back, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Who do you have? Rank your 2023 class for me.
All right. Here at the 2023 running back class, which was pretty good. I got Bijan Robinson at number 1. I got Jahmyr Gibbs at number 2. I got Devon Achane at number 3. Chase Brown at number 4. And Tank Bigsby, my boy Tank, at number 5.
Oddly enough, Nate, we have those ranked exactly the same. Some notable exception we have missing from these rankings here: Kendre Miller, Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet. So, Nate, let's go ahead and kick it off with the 2024 class. What do you got for me? Looks like we have a few differences here.
A couple differences. Not as excited about this class as I was last year's running back class. Not as excited about this class as I am about this coming class in the 2025 running back class. But I got Bucky Irving at number 1. I got Tyrone Tracy at number 2. I got Braylon Allen at number 3. Trey Benson at number 4. And poor Jonathan Brooks with his retorn ACL at number 5. And I mean, it just takes one of those guys who is just off this list having a good back half of the season to maybe move above Jonathan Brooks, because I expect him to miss a good portion of next year's season as well.
Yeah, I mean, we did this before Jonathan Brooks got hurt, but I have Bucky Irving at number 1. I have Trey Benson at number 2, Tyrone Tracy at number 3. The reason I have those guys flip-flop, I do believe in Trey Benson more long-term. I think Tyrone Tracy is a stopgap for the New York Giants. So Tyrone Tracy at 3, Braylon Allen at 4, and then poor old Jonathan Brooks at 5. Notable exceptions here: Isaac Garendo, who does have, I believe, an ankle or foot or a calf strain, something like that. So we got a lot coming at us. Like, it's hard for me to keep it all straight. Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, Audric Estime, Blake Corum, and Marshawn Lloyd, who's been just sitting on IR all season. If he was active and playing, obviously this would look a lot different.
Yeah.
So, Nate, why don't we go ahead? And I think we could, for number 1, we could just go ahead and write down Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson.
I'm thinking Jahmyr Gibbs is number 2 still.
Yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward to start.
Okay, and then number 3.
I'm going Achane.
I'm going Achane as well. So far, it's not looking so good for the 2024 rookie running back class. And then after that, we had, do you think Chase Brown is better or Bucky Irving?
I would rather have Chase Brown.
So would I, man. All right. And then after that, let's see, we had Tank Bigsby or Bucky Irving.
I'll go with Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I think I would as well.
Much as I love Tank, I just need a bit more of a straightforward path to production with the Jaguars, and I don't seem to be getting that anytime soon. So
let's talk about wide receivers, the position that we all love to build our teams around. All right, so Nate, why don't you kick it off for us? Are we the same? No, we're not. We got some differences here. Give me your 2023 wide receivers.
All right, this was the toughest ranking of the entire episode. The 23 wide receiver class was really impressive. So right now, at number 1, I got Puka Nacua. That's chalk. And number 2, I have JSN. I'm fully in on JSN. I'm so excited about what we're seeing from him this year. He's really taken over that wide receiver 1 role with the Seahawks, or at least sharing it with DK Metcalf. At number 3, I have Zay Flowers. And then after this point, it gets a little hard. I did end up ranking Jaden Reed 4 and Jordan Addison 5. But really, I put them into the same tier as Josh Downs and Rashee Rice. If Rashee Rice was playing right now, he would certainly be 4. He would be above Reed and Addison. But since he is on IR and we won't see him again until next year, I did have him off right now. But that is subject to change. And Josh Downs has been really good this year. I do have some quarterback questions about him. And then also, I got to throw Tank Dell in there. He hasn't had quite the season I think some expected him to have, but he's still a very good wide receiver. So really, this wide receiver class, I only rank the top 5, but I would say it's 8 really good players that we could rank.
I agree with that. And there's other guys on here that I like, but we'll get to that in a second. So I also have Puka Nacua number 1. The only real difference that Nate and I have here, I have Zay Flowers at 2, JSN at 3. I mean, It's close. It's a 2A, 2B situation. If I could rank them both second, I would. That being said, I do think Zay Flowers at the wide receiver position on his team has a clear path to more targets. Oh, well, Lamar Jackson's a running quarterback. Look at his passing numbers. He's not a running quarterback. He's a quarterback that can run. Jaden Reed at number 4, disappointed in some of his numbers recently, but I believe Nate is talking about him on the next pod. Stay tuned for that. Then Jordan Addison at 5. If Rashee Rice was active, was playing and not injured right now, I would be talking about him. I would probably bump him above Jordan Addison. Like Nate said, he's a little streaky. Jordan Addison, that is. And then Tank Dell, question marks there right now this year. Josh Downs, Anthony Richardson's his quarterback. Quentin Johnston is a TCU wide receiver. Cedric Tillman's been hit or miss. And Marvin Mims has all the talent in the world, just hasn't been able to put it together so far in the NFL. I mean, he just had a big game a few weeks ago, but I'm still not putting him in any starting lineups at all. All right, Nate, give me your 1 through 5 on your 2024 class. This one was actually a little tough for me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and I will say that my rankings here have changed since we did this a couple weeks ago. At number 1, got Malik Neighbors. At number 2, I got Marvin Harrison Jr. At 3, got my boy Ladd McConkey. I definitely underranked him last time. I moved him up in my rankings because he has been very, very impressive. Number 4, I have Brian Thomas Jr. And number 5, I had to put Rome Odunze at number 5. I don't feel like he's actually the 5th best wide receiver in this draft class. But with how the Bears have looked so far and his production has been, I'm going to have to put him at 5 just because Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd McConkey, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Malik Neighbors have been so good.
Yeah.
But I do love Rome Odunze. I just talked about it last week. Very similar vibes to JSN with his rookie year. I think Rome Odunze is going to be one of my favorite buys on the offseason. But I do unfortunately have to put him at 5 here.
Yeah, and if you have a contending team out there and you're not, and your trade deadline is still open, go see if you can get some feelers out on Rome Odunze. For me, I have Malik Neighbors at number 1. And let's not forget, in the offseason, there was a lot of people that it was either Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot of people viewed these guys as very, very close. Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 2. I have Brian Thomas Jr. at number 3. Number 4, I have Rome Odunze. And number 5, I have Ladd McConkey. So Nate, this one's, I think starting it off, we're going to go Puka Nacua, number 1.
Yep. Mike, I do want to say I'm a little disappointed in you putting Ladd McConkey at 5. I get it, though. I put Rome Odunze at 5. It's tough.
Hey, listen, I'm completely fine disappointing people. Some notable exceptions, I just want to backtrack. Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Xavier Legette, a big drop in the Eagles game this past week. I thought he had it. When you looked at it at first, it looked like he caught it. A.D. Mitchell and then Ricky Pearsall as well. So number 2, I had Zay Flowers. You had JSN for the 23 class. And number 2 over here, Marvin Harrison Jr. Which way you leaning there, Nate?
Or Malik Neighbors. We could put Malik Neighbors here.
Forgot about him. I would feel more comfortable with, I would say JSN or Zay Flowers.
Well, then I'd rather have JSN then.
I shall concede to the. I just don't feel like arguing with anybody.
So you want to put Zay Flowers over Malik Neighbors then at 3?
If it's just what we know now, I'd feel comfortable putting Zay Flowers over Malik Neighbors. But I do think Malik Neighbors probably has a higher long-term ceiling. The only problem is there's obviously going to be a new quarterback coming in. We don't know if that's a rookie or a stopgap. I don't know if Brian Dable's going to keep his job. They're going to get a new general manager. So Zay Flowers may not have the ceiling of Malik Neighbors, but he definitely has a higher floor right now and a safer floor for me.
All right. If you want to put Zay Flowers there, that works. And then I think the 4 and 5 here are going to come for the 2024 class.
Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah. And Mike, we could go all 10 here if we want.
Let's do it. Why not?
So at 6, we're looking at, we can get into the Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, or we could go with Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr.
I would say next should probably be Jaden Reed.
Man, I could not put Jaden Reed above Brian Thomas Jr. right now.
Yeah.
Not with how Jaden Reed's played recently. And we'll get to it more, like you said, on the next podcast. But it's been a tale of 2 halves this season.
That's fair. All right, we'll do Brian Thomas Jr. at 6, and then at 7, you would go Jaden Reed here, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay, and then number 8, let's going to be, let's see here.
So we're down to Addison, Lad McConkey, and Roma Dunze.
I would say probably Jordan Addison.
I think that's fine based on his production.
Yeah, he has produced.
He has produced. He has 7 touchdowns. 3 of them came this last week. So
I would say next would most likely be, well, you have Lad McConkey a lot higher than I do.
I do. So Lad, and then rounding it out with Rome. See, once again, it feels wrong to have Roma Dunze so far down. But there it is.
But here he is. So let's go through our consensus top 10 wide receivers. Puka Nacua, JSN, Zay Flowers, Blake Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Brian Thomas Jr., lots of juniors out there, Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, Lad McConkey, and Roma Dunze.
Now, Mike, let me ask you this.
Ask me anything you want, my friend.
We did not include Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, Tank Dell. And I think out of the 3 of them, it's probably more so Josh Downs or Rashee Rice. Would you put either one of them in this top 10 over a Dunze or Lad McConkey?
If Rashee Rice was healthy, I'd probably have him right behind Jaden Reed. Or he'd probably actually be ahead of Jaden Reed.
Yeah,
because he's playing really well.
I would probably have him about there as well, somewhere around the Brian Thomas Jr. range.
I got really bummed when he got hurt. I think I only have 1 or 2 shares, but I really like what Rashee Rice brings to the table, man. And, I thought Patrick Mahomes had his guy for a long, and he still will.
Mm-hmm.
I think, this is one of those things. And I did see one of the videos, we called it an ACL. Yes, thank you, YouTube doctors. It's an LCL. Forgive me. It's a CL. All right. Throw whatever letter in there you want first. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be. I don't even play one on TV. But then, Tank Dell, Josh Downs. Tank Dell's been inconsistent. Hate to see it. Josh Downs' quarterback situation's been inconsistent. Who knows? Maybe even Shane Steichen gets fired. I don't know. So it's just interesting. And then Parker Washington's been playing good lately too. So I mentioned that. So do you think the one question I had for you, though, Nate, about the 2023 class, do you think we could write off Jonathan Mingo at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Okay.
Before he was traded. And then after he was traded, I wrote him off again.
Wrote him off a second time. All right, so let's go to my favorite position, how I like to build teams for some reason, the tight end position. Hey, every point matters, right? Nate, give me your top 5.
All right. For 2023, I got Sam Laporta, and then Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, Michael Mayer, and then at 5, I got Luke Musgrave, who's unfortunately spent the entirety of the season on IR.
It's a shame, because if it wasn't for that, Tucker Kraft might not be so high on this list.
Who knows?
You know what? Listen, when opportunity knocks, got to answer that door. So I have pretty much the same except for number 5, but I'll go through it. We got Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, Michael Mayer. Still believe in Michael Mayer, by the way. I think a change of scenery would do him
especially
really well.
After this week.
You hear me talking about him on the next pod. And then at number 5, I have Brenton Strange over Luke Musgrave, just because Brenton Strange, I do like him athletically a little bit more than Luke Musgrave. And, who knows what's going to happen down there in Jacksonville. And bring a guy in, run some more 2 tight end sets. Nate, 2024, pretty easy, but give it to me. What do you got?
All right. Looks like we got the same thing here, Mike. So I guess I'll go ahead and spoil it for both of us. Brock Bowers at number 1, Jatavion Sanders at number 2, Theo Johnson at number 3, Ben Sinnott at number 4, and Cade Stover at number 5.
True. Nate, this is actually a tough one. Who's the number 1, Brock Bowers or Sam Laporta? Sam Laporta not having the season we thought he was going to, but remember what he did as a rookie.
Well, what he did as a rookie wasn't as impressive as what Brock Bowers is doing as a rookie, because Brock Bowers just broke Sam Laporta's reception record by a rookie tight end this past week. So it is Brock Bowers at number 1 for me pretty easily.
Sam Laporta over his rookie season. Brock Bowers right now, 15.8 fantasy points per game. Sam Laporta, he was tight end 1 last year at 14.1. Then we could put Sam Laporta firmly at number 2. Here's where I think it's actually going to start to get a little murky.
I don't know.
JT Sanders or Tucker Kraft or Dalton Kincaid?
I think the next 2 are still pretty standard for me. I'm going to go Kincaid here at 3, and I'm also going to say Tucker Kraft for 4.
I'm begrudgingly saying Kincaid. I don't think that he's having the season we expected him to. He's been banged up as well. You want to try to kind of give him a pass right there. So you said you have Kincaid and then Tucker Kraft. And then who do we got at number 5? Are we
Hey,
sticking with
I'm
Michael
okay with
Pittman?
throwing Sanders in there if you want. At
Yeah,
number
me
5.
too.
Yeah.
Somebody said on a video recently too, JT Sanders could be a really good stash. It was our stash video. And
Yeah.
I agree. And I thought about putting him. The reason I went with Ben Sinnott, and I want to say this to our audio viewers, which by the way, you could leave comments on Spotify as well. Listen to us on Spotify or wherever. I don't care. JT Sanders has already done a little bit more, and I feel like it would be harder to pay stash pricing for JT Sanders than it would for Ben Sinnott. So our consensus top 5 tight ends: Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, and JT Sanders.
Good stuff.
That is great stuff. I like doing stuff like this. If you guys like stuff like this, let me hear it. We want to know. And maybe next year we could try to do it for 3 classes, Nate.
Ooh, okay.
That would actually be pretty tough, I think.
I'm down.
Yeah, we might be able to do it. So until next time, everybody, check out the link below. Get some merch. I'm wearing a Dynasty Rewind logo tee right here. If you want to see it, check out the YouTube video. It's kind of a play on the old MTV logo. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review anywhere that you can. Patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. We're giving you guys a week for free on me. It's crazy. Until next time, everybody. For Nate, I'm Mike. Thanks for listening.